I am a queer champion from the British Blacklist, and this lady needs no introduction, but she needs an introduction. The wonderful, the phenomenal, the beautiful, the talented, the wow, wow, wow lady, Miss Cynthia Erivo. Welcome, my darling. How are you?
Hello, love. I'm good. I'm taking you everywhere with me. I want that introduction all the time, please.
Seriously, I can hype you, my girl. I can hype you. How is things? How you feeling? How you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Things are good. Busy, but
yeah,
really, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Yeah. And you know, the project has been long talked about. It's here. It's landed. Are you feeling excited? Do you feel excited, anxious, nervous, or what is the feeling before people receive?
A bit of both. Is all of them, all of the above? You're really excited to share. You're also really nervous. You're like, I hope people will enjoy this. People understand it. You know, the whole thing. Obviously, you're also ready to let it go because I spent a year making it, and so now it's sort of like time. At some point, it has to come out. So I'm happy that it's now. Yeah.
And so, look, there's so much misinformation and confusion, I believe, about Black icons and the ownership of their narratives. So who was Aretha to you before this project, and what does she mean to you now since doing them?
Aretha was my inspiration and I guess a teacher for me as a singer and as a musician about how to use the song to communicate a feeling, an emotion, a story. I really learned that from listening to her. I learned that from watching how she would perform. I learned that from how she would take a song that maybe wasn't her own and turn it into her own. The idea that Respect was actually Otis Redding's first before it was hers. It blew my mind just because no one else, I don't know that many people realize that or know that, but because of the way she sang it, but because of the energy she puts in it, the knowledge, the understanding of what she's been through, you feel like it's hers because she understands what she's living the words that she's speaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
She was an architect for me. Yeah.
And it's the global reach of her and icons like her that I think people misunderstand. Yeah. And it's like that a young lady in London, in the UK, can feel the presence, the power, and be inspired to build their talent, which is phenomenal, and who people would possibly assume not from the UK. Do you understand? Like your voice, even me being from the UK, it's like, well, how the hell did she find that voice in London? You know what I mean? I know we got talent, but to me, and I'm not just gassing, your voice is beyond that, is beyond. So that's understanding the far reach of people. I think it's really important because of the conversation.
I was like a kid. I was 9 when I first heard her. I'm 34 now. So like I've lived with that voice most of my life. So I feel like I know this woman, and you know, her voice is the reason that I thought, maybe I can do this. And she's one of the women I was listening to over and over again, listening to her songs, listening to the change in which the change she would make. When she came out with Rose and with Lauryn Hill, I was like, well, that's that then. Like, how did this happen? But someone told me today that New You Were Waiting with George Michael came out the year I was born. And as far as I was concerned, New You Were Waiting was always out. Like that came out when I was like, in my head, 6 or 7. So like, how is it that I didn't realize that it was, because for me, it's always been with me. That music's always been around.
And you're making me feel old because how dare you just be born? Darn you. But I shan't say anymore. But, you know, you have met the Queen, you did meet her, and like imagine you're on stage doing your thing, Colour Purple, killing
Mind my business.
Minding your own damn singing business, and then you step down and see Ms. Aretha, and I read that she sang back to you.
I'm here, and I'm here, back to me. She went, and I'm here, and I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Hi.
That's the hello, wow.
And she was funny, and we took a picture, and then I saw her again at the Kennedy Center Honors, where I was performing that day, and she remembered me, and I went to reintroduce myself. Hi, my name's Cynthia again. Oh, I remember you're the girl in the show, and you can sing. I was like, thank you. Thanks for saying that. I love you. You're amazing. What can I say? Watch the tape back, and she's singing along to the song that I'm singing. I didn't realize that she also had a version of The Impossible Dream, and she was singing along with me.
I mean, that's a lot to carry. And then you get this project. How did this project find you? And aside from, sorry, before I just to cut you, and aside from it being, obviously you're going to play the Queen of Soul. However, were there any other considerations that aided the obvious yes?
Well, the obvious yes. Yes, it was an obvious yes. I was minding my business. Again, this is what always happens. Mind my business. I was on the red carpet for the Tonys. And I was asked in an interview to sing one of my favorite songs. He asked me what my go-to guilty pleasure song was. And I said, Ain't No Way. And he sort of does the silence like, well, you can just sing it. So I sing a couple of lines of Ain't No Way, and that video gets back to Clive Davis and Brian Grazer, and they call my agent and say, hey, we saw this video of her singing this on the red carpet. Do you think she'd be interested in doing this? We're doing Genius, we're doing Genius, the series, and Aretha is the next subject. And so they call me and go, hey, Clive Davis saw a video of you singing on the red carpet at the Tonys, and they have all come together and had a conversation, and all the creatives have come together on the Genius series, and they think you would be a great person to do this series. And I was like, yes, sure.
Yeah. And that was it.
Yeah. I just, because, I had so many weird moments leading up to this point. There was another time when I was asked to do this concert, and I think they had asked her to also do this concert before me. So they were asking her to do this concert. They were going to ask her to do, not The Impossible Dream, it was Nessun Dorma and I Dreamed a Dream.
Okay.
And she wasn't well. And so they called to ask if I would do it. But I didn't know that was the case. They just asked, hey, can you come and do this concert? So I said, yeah, I'm happy to come and do this concert. Then they asked me if I would sing Nessun Dorma and this song, not realizing that years before, Aretha, I think it was 1994, she had done Nessun Dorma in place of Pavarotti. So it just was like another kismet thing that happened. And so I kept having these moments that would that sort of that made me feel really connected to doing this piece. Yeah.
So when you say that makes me feel a little bit like, I'm glad you're saying it, because again, back to my first kind of statement that there's so much misinformation and confusion, and the furor around who can play who and why and what heritage and stuff like that. But when you're on this soul connective journey and things like that happen, how can you ignore the destiny put before you? Yeah. Did you have any reservations because of the noise?
I didn't, because I knew, my thing is I never think of myself as the only and the final person that can do something. You know what I mean? I'm always really thinking, well, if this is one of the versions, hopefully this just encourages people to tell the story continuously. She also lived such a long life that I knew that we weren't going to be able to tell the entire story of Aretha Franklin or do the entire discography of her work. It's just impossible. It's impossible to do it in that telling. We have a series that goes on for 3, seasons, and I definitely could not do all those 3 seasons. It's just impossible. And so I knew that we wouldn't have all the story, and I knew that it should be an impetus to get people to tell the story more. I also knew that there was a film coming, and I was like, well, this is great, because now we have 2 moments to tell the story and celebrate this person. And for me, I just, man, I love us. I love the stories that we have. I love the stories that we can tell. I love the things that we've brought into the world. And so if I can be a part of that storytelling, that's where I want to be. Yeah.
You said storytelling, so you've written a children's book.
Yes.
But now I want to run all these questions together. You've written a children's book.
Yes.
You've got an album coming out. You started a production company. When the hell do you rest? And also,
yes.
I just, Aretha earned the reputation of being a shade queen. However, in this story, we see the fact that her strength comes from being able to be a woman in her own right, surrounded by men telling her what the hell to do at a time when women didn't have as much rights as they do now, even though we're still fighting for visibility. Yeah. Can you combine all of that into one answer about the experience and actually the project you've got coming out now? And wow, how do you do it?
Okay. How do I do it? I guess I'm a glutton for creating, and I don't sleep very much. I sleep a very minimum amount of hours because my brain is always working and I'm always thinking about things, trying to create things. The book is coming out this year. The album is coming out this year. I recorded it whilst I was shooting Aretha, which was wild and crazy because obviously we're in a pandemic, so I couldn't go to a studio. So I had a little setup at my house where I was staying to record everything. And the production company really is about telling stories about us that normalize our experiences so that we get to see us in different spaces that we normally wouldn't see us. So whether it be the woman who is a security guard at JFK airport, or it's Sarah Forbes Bonetta, who happens to be technically a royal, but was almost erased from history. So I'm trying to put a light on these women and their stories that would normally be sort of covered up and hidden, and bring them to the forefront because they deserve to be spoken, deserve to be shown. Aretha is first and foremost one of the most resilient and determined people I've gotten to know, because it took a lot for her to stake claim of the work that she was doing and demand that she had producers' rights on them, that she was treated equally within a world, specifically music. The world of music was very male heavy at this time. And if you were a woman in it, you were usually just a performer, and very rarely a producer, and very rarely the writer. And she was all of those things, which is really, really, that's something to really sort of mark and understand. She was the writer, she was the producer, and she was the performer, which is very rare. You don't get those three things at that time very often. And she was that. And so to be able to do that in that time will leave you with a sense of like a strength. So she also had this gracefulness. And I know people refer to her as a shade queen, but I actually think she was really graceful. She had her views about people, but I don't think she ever really insulted anyone like outright, because there was a gracefulness to the way she would say something. She had a view about something, and I think she had earned the right to speak about how she felt about anything, because she had worked so long in this industry where people really would outright just tell people what they thought. And she built her own empire. She built her own life against many difficult odds. Yeah.
I see you walking in her footsteps, so well done.
Thank you very much.
Lots of love and support, and well done.
Always good to see you.
Always good to see you. Sugar pie. Take it.
I'm writing a new song. It's gonna hit you hard. I thought you were my man. It'll get under your skin, right down to the bone. It's gonna be a whole new vibe that brings people together. I'm just a link in your chain.
Well, you only got 3 chords?
I will make them sound like $1 million. Chain, chain, chain. Chain, chain, chain.
In recognition of all you've done, the people of the world hereby crown you Queen of Soul.
Make sure the world only sees the Aretha Franklin you want them to.
You're gonna remember her name, Aretha.
She's too young to go out there. You're treating me mean. Oh, you're treating me cruel.
It's easier for a woman to be the helpmate of a king than it is for a man to be the helpmate of a queen.
Don't let that queen thing go to your head.
I'm gonna let that queen thing go wherever I want it to. Times are changing, and I want to keep changing with it. You got to disturb the peace when you can't get no peace.
This is what you were meant to do. You just got to flaunt your power.
There will never be another one like me.